Yes, I share my beliefs with others, and I tell them why I believe what I believe, because it might help others to believe.
Not really. I really don't go to churches with my mom.
I would say no. I don't know. How about everybody else?
Religion's your own thing.
Yeah, I view it more as a personal thing.
I openly share. I like to go to church and talk with others and be able to be in a community.
I agree. I also go to church on Sundays and I share my religion with everybody there. So.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. No, it just doesn't usually come up as much as like other stuff does.
I used to, and then a lot of my friends, I don't know, most of them are Catholic and I'm Baptist, so I tried it with a couple of my friends, and the ones who don't really go to church a lot, and they weren't really too. So I kind of played off of that a little bit for a while, and then I'll bring it back maybe.
Yeah, I have no problem talking about what I believe in and what I don't believe in. And I usually have no problem expressing my opinion or faith.
No, because I'm just shy too.
Usually I share them with other people if they ask what religion I am or what do I study and why do I study it and why do I believe in it.
Okay. Do you openly share your Christian beliefs with others? If no, why? And if yes, how?
It's not like I'm just going to walk up to somebody and give them a story, of why I'm a Christian and such. But, if somebody has a question or it just seems to take place, I have no problem in sharing my experiences.
Every Christian is called to spread the good news of Jesus.
To share the gospel with others by our words and by our deeds.
We call this work evangelization.
Many people are uncomfortable seeing themselves as evangelizers.
They think that this means knocking on doors, preaching on street corners, or talking about God all the time.
While some followers of Christ may be called to preach and teach, most of us share our faith in quieter ways.
Do you share your faith with others? Do people see Jesus in you? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Ian.
And I'm Marissa, and this is Realfaith TV.
Our spotlight guest, Bob, is a student leader at his high school campus ministry group.
And he believes that it's important to share your faith with others.
We will meet him and our studio guest later in the show.
But first, let's go back to the teens on the street and find out if they think it's important to share your Christian faith.
How important is it to you as a Christian to share your Christian faith with others?
It's really important actually, because if I share it with others, they can benefit from it, and if I don't, they might not be able to benefit from it, and they might view life as nothing.
My church says it's really important, but I know I should be out doing stuff maybe for it, but I pretty much think that people should come around, and if you give them a little nudge, maybe, but you shouldn't be bothering them that much.
No, it's not important, no.
Not that important.
You just kind of influence them the best you can, but not try to change their opinion or their own beliefs. You should respect what they believe in and not have a problem with it.
I think since Christianity is a community, it's important so people can see everybody else's perspectives of how God works.
It's important, but it's not number one for me. I mean, I think that's like God's job. If you attend church, you get that from like the priests and stuff. I don't go around spreading it. I don't go around like trying to change people's beliefs or anything like that. I pretty much see it as if people want to believe in God, they're going to believe in God, and I shouldn't really have anything to do with it, so I just kind of keep my beliefs to myself.
I think it's important because I think it's a big part in my life. I mean, I don't know, it helps me get through a lot.
Well, I think that Catholics believe that gospel should be spread amongst a lot of people, so it is very important. But it's difficult to do because if you don't have the knowledge to everything, you might not be all right. So.
I really like what one of the girls said about how her faith is very important to her and she likes to share it with others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what our studio guests think about this.
Okay, let's meet them first. They are Matt, Zoe, Caitlin, Elias, Jessica, and Jen.
So, do you think it's important to share your Christian beliefs?
Well, you see, I don't think it's that important to share it with, it's important, but it's not as important to share your beliefs with people that practices the same faith. I mean, if you're Muslim, you share your faith with other Muslims, I mean, if you were a Catholic and you started sharing your faith with a Jew, they wouldn't they wouldn't pay attention, and they just really wouldn't get interested as much, you know? I mean, if you were talking about it with another Catholic, they would share your faith with each other.
But I also think it's important to share it with people of different faiths, because even if you're not necessarily discussing like the doctrines of the faith, you can always find commonalities between people of different religions, you know, if it's like moral teachings or anything like that. So it's good to see that you have that kind of bonds between religions.
Yeah, I think it's hard to share your faith with other people, like Matt said, because people are very closed-minded and they don't always want to listen, and they believe what they want to believe and you believe what you believe, and they're not as open.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, but I mean, Jesus asks us to share the gospel with other people, and the love that he has for us is so awesome that, you know, you just need to spread that and let people know that Jesus died for them and Jesus loves them, and just how incredible life can be with him.
I find it really good to spread the faith. That's something good that we should all do. So how many of you actually share your beliefs with others?
And what can we do to do this? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a teenage evangelizing training class.
Well, Ian, you don't need a special class. Preaching the gospel can be easy as saying, God bless you when someone sneezes.
Well, I do that. Am I a teenage evangelizer?
Yeah, you definitely are. Now let's meet our spotlight guest, Bob, and find out why he thinks it's important to share your faith.
I think that I am open with my faith. I try not to be afraid of what other people will think, and usually they're very accepting of my beliefs. They are very respectful of it. A few times I've been teased, but it's mostly in good humor, and I don't think people are seriously mean about it because I'm a Christian. Well, sometimes it's tough when you're in a crowd and peer pressure is a big thing. A lot of times you can just feel the aura is negative towards you, and that is not fun to have. When there's a group of kids together, and they'll just tease me because they don't have anything else to poke fun at me for. But that's my identity, and I'm almost glad that they tease me for it, because it just means that it's a big part of me and it's obvious that they see it too. I think it's very important to share my Christian faith. It's important to be open about the faith so that other people feel more relaxed and opening to themselves, and so that they can openly share their Christian faith. It's like a chain reaction. One person has to start the chain. Sometimes that's got to be me.
If you are on trial for being a follower of Christ, do you think there would be enough evidence to convict you?
I hope there would be enough evidence to convict me, because I think that's a big part of living a Christian faith, is not being afraid and going forth and preaching the good news and not being afraid of what other people think. I think it is difficult in today's culture, but I think that it's been difficult in every culture. It's always been tough for people to live as a Christian. And I think maybe in today's culture, Pope John Paul called it a culture of death. And that's today's culture. And I think the cultures in the past have also had their difficulty. It's just a different experience. I think it's all difficult though.
To paraphrase Pope Paul VI, people will listen to witnesses before they listen to teachers.
His point was that the way we live our lives is even more important than what we say.
If we live in a way that is different from what we claim to believe, that's not a witness at all. It's hypocrisy.
And if we talk about believing but are not moved to action because of the belief, then our faith is empty.
When we consistently try to live out our faith in the world, people notice.
How open are you guys about your Christian faith with others?
Well, I never noticed myself as being very open about my faith. I mean, my town really isn't very Catholic. I mean, we're Catholic, but no one really goes to church that much, and no one's very they don't stand up to their faith as much. But I mean, I talk about it with some of my friends, everyone on the set here. Like when we're off set, I always talk like that. I always open up with them with my faith.
So it's easier to open up with people who are
believe the same thing.
Like people who are willing to talk about it. I think that's what you mean, right? Because I know I open up more when I'm here doing the show than I do when I'm in school.
Mm-hmm. I also think you don't need to go around, preaching, love Jesus, I mean, your morals can basically reflect how you spread your faith. Like in an election or anything, say, you know, if someone is for abortion or against it, you know, that gives you an insight into what kind of person they are and who they follow and what they believe in.
Yeah, I know that I don't try to hide my faith. I try to, like, if someone comes up to me like, oh, I like your cross necklace, or why are you wearing that, or something like that, I don't try to hide it. Like, it's my faith. I wouldn't put it down in any kind of way.
Because I believe in Jesus. That's why I'm wearing it.
Exactly.
It's like you shove it in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if someone references it, or if I want to make a reference to it because that'll make the best comment that I can make, then that's what I'm going to do, because I'm not afraid to share my religion. I'm just not one of those people who will go around just making everyone think that they should believe in my religion.
Yeah, like standing on a soapbox, preaching.
And also, like, God's definitely given me the gift of joy. Like, you guys have probably seen today, I smile a lot.
Yeah.
And like, it's awesome because at school, like, people will be like, hey, you know, why are you always smiling? And I tell them, you know, it's because Jesus. It's because he's so awesome. And so yeah, it's a great way to share your faith, because people see that there's something different about you when you're living the life, and they want that because it's Jesus, and it's a cool way to share.
Yeah, people can be like even a little jealous sometimes too. Like, well, I want what she has. Yeah. So, do you think that people automatically will know you're a Christian by the way you look and act?
And if you were on trial for being a Christian, would you be convicted?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Do you believe that people would automatically know you are a Christian by the way you look and act?
Yeah, definitely. You know, if you wear a cross to school, everyone knows you're a Christian.
Yeah, because I'm pretty modest. I try to, you know, keep doing, like, I have morals, I have standards and stuff like that, and I just don't want people to think that I'm doing something bad.
No, they probably wouldn't think I'm a Christian because I just blend in with society that well. So I'm just, you know, an average Joe, so it's hard to tell.
I don't know. I don't think it's good to be labeled something, so probably not.
Some people try to make it look like they are a certain aspect. They're wearing a cross, but does that really mean they have faith in it? So no, I don't think I can immediately be presumed a Christian just by looked at.
If you are on trial for being a follower of Christ, would there be enough evidence to convict you?
No. Because sometimes I fall with what I believe in, and I know it's very important. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It depends on the jury and my lawyer and all that.
Honestly, no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
Well, I think if they really did have evidence and knew everything I did, then yeah, they would think so.
Yeah, there'd definitely be proof. I definitely am a Christian.
Yeah, I would have said I'm guilty. I would have, you know, they would have been able to say, you know, this kid has been going out, he's been able to express his faith, he is certainly a Christian.
The saying that you are the only Bible some people will ever read is very true.
It's a big responsibility.
So what impression of Jesus do you think people get from knowing you?
Considering I don't really preach out my faith that much, I would think that people think that I wasn't that religious, so they wouldn't see that much Jesus in me. But I mean, when I'm, like I said before, when I'm with you guys, you probably see it more because I preach more. Like, I talk about my faith a lot more.
I think it's true what the one girl said, you know, how she was saying that she really, like, has standards for herself with her morals, and I think that's, like, a big way of how people see Jesus in you is by the way you act and by the way you treat other people. That's a huge part of it, and I know that's probably more how I would have people see Jesus in me rather than, you know, talking about the gospel or something.
I'm really forgiving, so like sometimes to the point where I'm taken advantage of, and you know, I think people see Jesus in me because of that aspect, because Jesus is always forgiving people no matter what. So
I think people see Jesus in me because I will use his teachings as a base for my morals, and his teachings just are the ultimate guiding hand, so to speak, for me, and they just help me get through life and make my decisions the best of my ability.
So how many of you believe that you would be found guilty if on trial for being a Christian?
Guilty right here.
Yep.
Guilty. Well, first of all, we have this show right here, so they have proof, and I'm not afraid to show it. So
yeah, I would say I was guilty because, like, I wouldn't want to hide my religion from people. You know, if people think that's wrong, fine, but I'm not going to hide it from them. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
And if you think about it, would you rather, you know, die right away, or would you rather live in a world denying that you don't believe in God? If you think about it.
Yeah, how can you live your life after denying God?
Yeah, I know what you mean with the guilty thing. I mean, God's just blessed me with a lot of awesome ways to share my faith. I've been with people at school, bringing different friends on retreats, and it's just phenomenal to see how Jesus acts in people's lives. And I'm kind of a Christian t-shirt freak. I have like 40. And I go to a Catholic school, so we wear uniforms, but every dress down day, I always wear a Christian t-shirt, and people come up to me, "What are you wearing today? What does that shirt say?" And it's kind of cool to be known for that.
That's awesome. When a person keeps the commandments and lives in the Beatitudes, St. John tells us that the love of God is truly perfected in him.
Whoever claims to abide in him ought to live as he lived.
Who do you know that lives as Jesus lived?
Who are your role models for the Christian faith?
That's what we ask the teens on the street.
Describe to me any people who you know who are living examples of the Christian life.
My mom.
My grandma.
Like, how are they?
She goes to church and she helps people and she's always nice, so.
Yeah, my grandmother. She's living it because she's faithfully into church. That's all she really likes to do. She doesn't curse, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, don't do anything in that matter.
My grandma. Yeah. Yeah, my grandparents too. They follow their faith a lot and go to church every week and they're crazy about it.
My dad. All the way, my dad. And yeah, my dad.
Can you tell me why?
Because he sticks to what he believes in, and he doesn't let anyone take him down.
My aunt, but she passed away already. She really was into like the religious, like the couple of years after she was sick already, she got really into the church.
My aunt's brother is like works at a college and he's very religious and he like really gets into the whole thing.
Probably, I don't know, one of my friends. He runs the FCA, I don't know if you know what that is, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He runs it at my school and nobody really goes, but he tries and he does a good job with that. And he's a nice kid, he's down to earth too. He's not like, you know, stereotypical where he's like, oh, God loves me, you know how.
Well, my friend, she's been through a lot of hard struggles and she's been, I guess, like the bad teen and she's gone from like here to here and it was amazing, so I guess.
Pastor is pretty much a very example of a very good Catholic, and you know I just try to follow him. He's like my role model and stuff. So
There's plenty of role models as well as it's just, you know, most people that are really living it are the people you don't know.
I would have to say one of my role models is my youth minister, because she's like really brought me into the faith a lot more than what I was before. And when I went on one of these programs that she put on, I saw her faith shine through like so much more than anyone else that I've ever seen, and she brought me more into that faith. And I think that like she's just one of my like the top role models on my list for faith.
Well, one of mine is my dad, because he is a very religious person. He is always using God as an example to follow, and it's the fact that he always makes his decisions using his teachings that inspire me to make better decisions. So that's why I would consider him one of my role models.
Next, let's find out who has influenced Bob in his Christian faith.
Definitely my mom has been a huge part in my faith, and my father as well. It's really easy in my family to live the faith because they just encourage it so much. They nurture my faith. I also went to Catholic grade school, and I had one teacher whose name is Miss Cochran, and she is the hugest influence of my faith because it was right in that time where I was it was kind of a deciding time for me, and she influenced me so much to live the faith, and I'm really appreciative for her for that. Yeah, I have one really good friend of mine, and he's just raised in a Catholic family, and you can just tell by looking at him, like we said before, that he is a Christian and he really loves Jesus. He's only a teenager, and he's been asked to make speeches in front of large crowds in Philadelphia. He goes on retreats. His family is very active in my parish. But I think the thing that most exemplifies Jesus Christ in him is just the little things that he do. His manner, he's a gentleman. He's just a really nice kid to be around. I was chosen to lead the campus ministry actually this year, which was a huge honor. I always try to, I think it's a great opportunity to have campus ministry because you get to bring Christ into your school. It's an active role that I get to take. Anybody can take it in our school. And I just love being in campus ministry. We set up the masses, we set up prayers, We just do little things for people, like we made hot chocolate things for all the teacher at Christmas time. Just doing little things that makes people's lives better. Well, my mom's always taught me how to be a leader in the Christian faith. And I think that all those years pounding it into my head, she got some in there. And, well, I hope that the administrators saw that. I think they saw that, and that's why I was chosen to lead the campus ministry group.
So, who are the people that inspire you in your Christian faith? People who are living examples of Jesus?
I have to say somebody who inspires me to go with my faith is Father Anthony, but it's not because he's a priest, it's because, you know, just who he is. Like, to see him so happy as a Catholic and so open to God makes me really want to be that happy with God as well.
There's a priest at my church that doesn't say Mass anymore at my church. His name is Father Sean Winters, and he was the nicest, most gentle, and amazing person I've ever met in my life. He was just like, he was so connected with God, and he just had so much peace within him. He visited hospitals, and he calmed people down when they lost a relative in the hospital. And he was so connected with God, and the way he talked to people and the way he smiled, he just showed like just pure happiness. It was really just awesome.
My friend is one of my role models just because she not only does she go to church, but she also just questions her faith and is constantly like trying to find ways to make it more real to her.
Yeah, my faith role model is my Uncle Joe. He's a missionary priest, and he travels the world, and he's spreading the Catholic faith, which I just think is awesome.
When we consistently try to live out our faith in the world, people notice.
It's nearly impossible to miss the fruits of the Spirit that grace our lives. Can anyone name some of the fruits of the Spirit?
I know I can.
All right, you.
Kindness and peace.
Okay.
Ooh, joy.
Joy, that's a good one.
Generosity.
Very good.
I got gentleness.
Love, baby.
Patience.
Patience.
Faithfulness.
Very good, my children, but you've got one important one, self-control. St. Paul listed them in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 5.
So by being living examples of these fruits of the Spirit, we are really sharing Christ with others.
We are evangelizing, and it is not as difficult as it sounds.
In addition to living a Spirit-filled life that others can see, Bob finds prayer to be helpful.
Next, he encourages us to dive right in and share our faith.
And try to be a gentleman, try to be nice towards others, try to be loving, try to be accepting. And a big thing is prayers too. I always pray that to the Holy Mother that she bring me to Jesus and make me like her son. And that way I can act like Jesus to other people and they can see him through me. And I've started a rosary club in my school, which is really going to help my school, I think, because prayer is one of the greatest things you can do for somebody. I think a lot of people admire faith in a teenager, and sometimes people come to me because they see my faith. And it's like a stronghold for them, and it encourages them to live out their faith. And it's really good to see people come up to me and they'll talk to me about how I'm living my faith. We can learn from each other. And that's a really good thing to have in an environment that is affected by peer pressure and stuff like that. For anybody who wants to be open about their faith, go right ahead and don't hesitate about it. You have to just dive right in. Don't be afraid about what other people are going to think. The question, what would Jesus do? It's a great question to ask throughout the day, and it's easy to live your faith if you think, what would Jesus do in this situation? So I always try to remember, what would Jesus do? And I try to live like him. I try to keep him close to my heart, and I always try to reflect him in everything that I do.
I know that my prayer in my faith helps me a lot because it connects me to God, and I think that's really important. But I know someone that has a lot more faith in their prayer. Jen.
Well, actually, recently I was on a road trip with 5 other students from my school. My friend Colleen, who's a youth minister, and my mom. They were driving. We went to Notre Dame for a retreat in Indiana. And along our road trip, we kept collecting prayer requests along the way. all kinds of random people we didn't know. And it's an awesome way to evangelize because people need prayer. Everyone needs prayer. And when you go up to someone who you don't even know and say, hey, what can I pray about for you? What would you like prayer for? You will see just amazing results. I remember one story in particular. We were at a restaurant for breakfast, and we noticed a mother and daughter who were eating breakfast together. And they just kind of caught our eye because the daughter was very young and pretty. She had this really nice blue blouse on. We're all complimenting her on her blouse. And we asked them what they wanted prayer for. And it turned out that that very morning, the daughter had just found that she had a lump in her breast. And the mother and daughter were just really upset and praying to God for a sign, some kind of sign that he was in control and that this would be okay. And that same day, this group of 8 crazy people come up to them and ask them, hey, what would you like prayer for? And that was just one of the stories of how God touched so many lives just by praying for people. It was really awesome.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah, it's not easy in our culture to share our faith.
Many of us were told growing up never to discuss politics or religion.
There seems to be an organized effort to banish faith from contemporary public life altogether.
Bans on prayer in schools, movements to eliminate God from the Pledge of Allegiance, and lawsuits to remove public displays of religion.
Our culture is becoming increasingly atheistic.
People who talk openly about their religious faith are sometimes labeled as religious fanatics, or they risk being mocked for believing.
Private religious belief and practice is tolerated, perhaps even secretly admired.
But public expressions of belief are met with protest.
For Catholics, however, our faith cannot be confined to the private realm.
While we experience faith very personally, our faith must be made public.
We profess our faith with our mouths and with our whole lives.
In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus sends us into the whole world to proclaim the gospel to every creature.
How are you proclaiming the gospel in your daily actions? We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And one final thought. Jesus told his disciples in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5,
you are the light of the world.
A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden.
Your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds.
And glorify your heavenly Father.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV.
God bless.